News You Need is a look at current events and how they affect the college community and beyond. And now here's the host of News You Need, Dr. Ed Simpson.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another exciting edition of News You Need. Both of our regular listeners, I'm sure, checked in last night where we had a special live event where we talked about Mississippi politics. That was a whole lot of fun. So we have a great panel with us today. I believe it's the Anime Club. Did I say that right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so in a moment we're going to ask them to introduce themselves. But first, why are we here? What is this show all about? Well, News You Need is the show where we talk to the best human beings ever in the whole world, which is our USM students. And we have a little chat about what's in the news. And why do we care? Well, the reason we care is that the news is the weather report for your society, right? It's the issues, it's the things coming at you as a citizen that you need to be aware of and therefore make decisions about. And the best way to do that is to consume the news and figure out what's going on in the world. So that's why we chat about it. And so let's get going here. So let's start over here. Give us your name, maybe your major, your hometown, and what club you're with.
Awesome. I am Callan Danhauer. I am from Covington, Louisiana. I'm an English licensure major with a Spanish minor, and I'm with the Anime Club. I'm the vice president, actually.
So, vice president of the
thanks for
Anime
having
Club. Love it. Love it.
My name is Aaron Sorolla. I am the treasurer of the Anime Club. I'm actually from Neenah, Wisconsin, and I am a forensics major.
Oh, interesting. So, Wisconsin, how'd you end up down here?
My dad took a teaching job at USM when he was 3.
There you go. Excellent.
Hello, my name is Rodney Bridgeforth, and I am a senior entrepreneurship major, and my position in the Anime Club is a social media manager.
Oh, I love that. So, do we have any money, treasurer, in the Anime Club?
A little bit.
A little bit. That's what we need. All we need is a little. Okay, so tell me about the Anime Club. What is it? What do you all do?
So we're a pretty chill club, actually. We read on Thursdays at Siena Hall. We at 6 to around 9:30. We watch anime. We just talk and hang. We usually play Jackbox games, and we just hang out, try to build a community through our Anime Club. And we're open to anyone, including USM students and non-USM students. We're welcome to have everyone. And we also do plenty of events. We did the Halloween Gala 2 weeks back. And we had a costume contest there. We had food, we had music, and we all dressed up. It was really fun. It was a good time. We had a lot of people show up, and it was there in the Thad Cochran Center. We do it once a year, so look forward to that next year and around October season, around spooky season. So.
Wow. Okay, so tell me again where and when you guys meet.
Siena Hall. Do you remember the room?
1043.
1043, and from 6 to 9 on Thursdays.
Every Thursday. Okay, so for those who look like me, which is 1.9 billion years old, what is anime?
Anime is, think about it like cartoons that are produced by Japanese animators and studios.
Okay, so is it both books and
Manga is the written form of anime, so those are like comics.
Oh, gotcha.
And then it gets adapted into anime, usually.
Okay, so you watch it's like a cartoon, on the television.
Yes.
Okay, give me the name of a popular anime show.
Dragon Ball Z.
That's what I was gonna say. Okay, so Dragon Ball Z, is that the current hot one? Because that was hot like 20 years ago.
It's people. There's still fans that still love it because it's through childhood. And there's also Pokemon, which is a huge one.
Oh, okay. Pokemon is okay. So did you guys take part in the app craze a couple years ago?
Oh yeah, I still play it.
Oh, you still play it? Oh, how
My
many?
roommate still plays
How
it.
many Pokemon are there on USM's campus?
A lot.
Really?
Because there's lots of gyms and everything, and there's actually a huge community out there that play Pokemon Go. It's really interesting that there's lots of people from everywhere, and it's you'll just see people in cars sometimes just sitting there, and you'll be like, I never.
And that's what they're still doing that.
Oh yeah.
So how far did you get in Pokemon Go?
I got around 3 or 4 hours in, and then after that, I kind of dropped the game.
Yeah.
Yeah, same as Rodney.
I have enough hours to probably learn 2 languages.
Wow. Yeah. I've never tried it. I just read about it. Yeah, so it sounds like super cool. So who gets to decide what you watch every Thursday? Is it
We have a
democratic
vote.
It is. You vote.
Yeah, it's
We-
it's democracy.
It's
It's
democracy, okay.
Yeah, so we have 4 sections, and we usually divide them between different types of genres of anime, and then we all get together on our first meeting. And it's kind of like we all get to know each other. We all get to know each other, and then we all vote for the anime, and we watch that for the rest of the semester. So we big decisions.
Yeah, that is very well. It sounds like a hoot, like a lot of fun. That's not my cup of tea, but I will tell you, my son was into that. I'm not sure I knew it was called anime, but he watched Dragon Ball Z all growing up. So I'm mildly, sort of, kind of. Okay. So tell me, what are our USM students talking about? Is there anything in the news that's reaching into our USM students' circle right now? Because there is a lot going on in the world.
Yeah, I know that, let's see. I know that there's the whole, what happened in Michigan, right? Is it? Not
Maine.
Maine. I got the M's mixed.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I know that with the school shootings are always going to be nervous. And I'm an English licensure, so that's always on our minds because, like, we're going to be future teachers, right?
Right.
And so that's definitely a current discussion that we're always talking about. And with whatever's happening with books and stuff, book bans and all that stuff.
That's true. Well, let's talk about that shooting up in Maine, because and a lot of folks tell me that one reason they don't read a lot of news or consume a lot of news is because it tends to bum them out, right?
It's depressing.
It's depressing, right? But here's my argument. No, I'm not sure anybody buys it, but my argument is that the only way to make change is to know what needs to be changed.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the only way to know that is to become aware of the issues that we're looking at, right? So these mass shootings is clearly an issue for our society. So up in Maine, so what we're talking about, for those of you that may not be familiar with it, at least 18 people were killed in a shooting in Maine in these relatively small towns at a restaurant, and then a few minutes later at a bowling alley during a youth night. And so the guy they're looking for is a military National Guardsman who is a trained kind of gun guy. That wasn't his job, but he clearly had some training, but he had a history of mental illness. So talk to me about, how do our USM students feel about the gun issue, about where we are in society with that whole issue?
I'm glad they're not selling it at Walmart anymore. That's
Are they
Okay.
not?
they don't have, well, not our Walmarts. They don't have
Not anymore.
not anymore.
Yeah, they may have taken them out.
Let's see. I feel like people are trying to equip themselves better to help deal with mental health issues in order to help prevent mass shootings in general.
Okay, so one of the issues going on is mental health services?
Yes.
I feel like guns are the biggest issue, obviously.
Yes, I was about to say Rodney has done a lot for mental health. Actually,
Yeah.
He's done. He's also in charge of the gaming club, and so he's done like mental health days and stuff like that with gaming. Do you want to talk about that, Rodney?
Yeah. Currently, I'm the president of the Eagle Gaming Club, and we do a lot of things in order to help make sure people are mentally sound and stable. And one of the things that I've done recently is gone through a mental health first aid certification in order to help and make sure people are doing well and getting them the resources that they need.
Yeah, and that's a huge issue, right? Just the whole mental health is a huge
I agree.
issue. Especially we had another death on our campus this year.
It happened during our club, actually.
Really?
Yeah.
It did. And we got the email a little bit earlier than everyone else, and we're like, what do we do? How do we address this? And we just kind of say, hey, we're here for everyone. And then because it happened the same time, because we're from 6 to 9 on Thursday.
It was like 30 minutes before we left.
So it was
Wow.
around 8:30 when
Wow.
the police and everything. So
Yeah,
And
I
I
know
live
that
in
can.
Scott Hall, which is right next to there.
So you guys heard the sirens?
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. I think we are going to take a break, and we're going to pick up with this idea of guns and mental health and all that on the other side.
Melissa from Michigan. I work an extra part-time job serving lunch at my child's school, but I still can't afford to put food on our table.
Daniel from California. Choosing whether to pay the rent or pay to fix the car to get to work doesn't leave us with much at all. Now we can't even pay for meals.
Hunger is a story we can end. End it at feedingamerica.org. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Join Southern Miss Radio on Sunday mornings from 6 a.m. till noon for Sunday Brunch. You'll get jazz and swing music from artists as wide-ranging as Bix Beiderbecke to Brad Meldau. From Dippermouth himself to Esperanza Spalding. But relax, you don't need to know anything about the music to enjoy it. It's a great way to wake up on Sunday morning. Sunday Brunch from 6 a.m. until noon on Southern Miss Radio.
Okay, we are back. So we were talking about a little bit earlier about the news sometimes can be hard to talk about because the issues that confront us as a community sometimes are very sad issues, right? The death of a student, the mass shooting in a small Maine town. So we were talking about the idea of mental health, and you're working hard to help address that on our campus. So kudos to you. I think that's awesome. And then you mentioned guns, is a bigger part of the problem. Mm-hmm. Talk to me about that.
I know that in a lot of countries where guns are heavily restricted or banned, there are not shootings every day like there are here.
Yeah, I mean,
I studied abroad, and I went to Cadiz, Spain, and the semester abroad program at Southern Miss. It's a great program if any of y'all are interested. It was a whole semester, and kids were just playing at 8 o'clock at night, and so with Spain, their gun laws is you have to pay a lot. The fee is ginormous to own a gun, so no one really owns any guns unless they really want to, and so it's weird. I don't know if it's attributed to guns, but I could walk at 9 or 8 o'clock in a city and feel pretty relatively safe, and only policemen had guns, and that's a whole nother topic. But I felt safe, and I don't know if it was attributed to the fact that no one had guns, maybe that they weren't afraid about kidnapping, and there's lots of issues, but I felt generally safe that no one had a gun. So I don't know. I just felt safer with that.
Yeah, I mean, I think you put your finger on it. This idea that every other industrialized country in the world has somehow figured this out. Mm-hmm. That is there something inherently violent about the U.S. character that we have the equivalent of 1.2 mass shootings a day, because that's the pace we're on. So this idea of access to guns, right, is a huge issue. So would you all be in favor, would our USM students be in favor of dramatically limiting the access to guns?
I'd be in favor of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
You guys have no question all about it.
Yeah.
So what about the folks that say, hey, what about the Second Amendment? I have a right to own my gun.
I think having fees and stuff like that, because I feel like they would be willing to. I'm open to negotiate. I think it's worth hearing the other side, because yes, we have these issues all the time, but that side also has guns, so they're a lot more convincing, because my side has no guns, and so it's a little intimidating to talk to the other side. But I think worth negotiating. I think we have to meet in the middle somewhere, and I think both sides have to accept that there might be guns in the world. Guns still existent, but they also should be limited in some extent. So I feel like there needs to be a medium that not all guns should be taken away, but also the fact that we need some limitation.
Yeah, right. So this guy up in Maine used an AK-47, an automatic assault weapon. That fires, I don't know the specs, but it fires a certain number of bullets per second, right? As opposed to when the Second Amendment was written, what were people using for guns?
Muskets.
Muskets, right? Yeah. Literally the first single shot rifle, right? That took even if you were really good at it, several seconds to reload, right? Mm-hmm. So that's been a large part of the debate, is the type of weapons that are out there. So it is interesting. And are USM students talking about it, or just when you're asked, it seems like you have pretty firm beliefs, but we're not as a community talking about it. Is that fair?
It's because I feel like there's when you're with a community or a group, there's with especially political things like this, that usually it's not talked about, because if people disagree in that group, it might fracture some relationships. So it's either it's not talked about it, or it's generally accepted that you agree with me. It's those two things, because it's hard to it's hard to talk about some of this stuff with people because it becomes a what is your character, right? Not like should we change because it largely becomes a defensive character when you disagree with someone else about these highly political art, which I think we should change that from. Like, okay, I might be wrong, you might be wrong. I don't think arguments should be a judgment of character or something like that.
I think there's a huge issue with people not wanting to admit when they're wrong, when they are.
Okay. Let's hear you have to say anything. I was just no. I think that, and I do think that our next generation probably doesn't understand. It didn't used to be that way.
Mm-hmm.
You used to be able to have discussions over issues where it would not be, I think, as you would say, become personal.
Yes.
Right? That if you disagree with me, that somehow you're a worse person than I am. And I think that we have reached that. Although I will tell you, on the guns are one of those issues, and I think abortion might be another one,
Yeah.
where both sides go, well, if you don't agree with me, you are a bad person.
Yeah.
Because if you want guns, you want people to die. And if you want abortion, you want people to die. So you have to be with me, right, on all those issues. So it is interesting, but it didn't used to be that way. We used to be able to have that discussion.
I think it's because opinions have gotten more extreme.
Interesting.
I'm not sure why.
Well, I wonder. So let me ask you this. So that may take us to a slightly different discussion. So how do you get your news now?
I'm a Spanish minor, and I usually watch like Telemundo and try to understand Spanish and read.
Oh, that's great. I love that.
So there's a hurricane. I was looking at the name, but an Acapulco where the completely devastated, and hotels, and it's a tourist area, and it's completely devastated area. So that's the news that came to me.
Interesting. Oh, I love that. Watching I bet your Spanish teachers are very happy to hear that too. So okay, watching Telemundo. How else?
I usually get bits and pieces from social media and look it up myself.
Interesting.
I try to watch a YouTube series called Philip DeFranco, and he's one that I find reliable in getting the news from, and he allows me to think for myself and come to my own conclusions.
Oh, I'll have to look him up. I've never heard of him. How many followers does he have? Do you know?
I believe 8 million
Millions?
following.
How many?
8 million.
Wow. I gotta go look him up. Well, I do think you're actually, you guys are a little bit out of the norm of what I normally hear from USM students, which is that I get it off of social media, TikTok.
Yeah.
So here's now. So it's for what it's worth, and it's not worth a lot. And nobody ever does what I do, but here's what I do. So I'll watch maybe 20, 25 minutes of CNN in the morning, switch over to MSNBC, then switch over to Fox, because obviously they report different things from different angles. Then I'll visit the New York Times homepage, I'll check in at the Washington Post, and then I'll look at Mississippi Today, which is probably the best Mississippi news going on. And then I try to check in with our SM2, which is our student media here, just to see what I've missed, if I've missed anything, right? And what that does, I think, is it allows you to kind of see a global picture, right? What's going on, and then allows you to kind of understand that, you know what, there is a debate going on out there about guns, about these major social issues. And it gives you kind of some ammunition to talk about it. So my argument is, now I don't expect anybody to do what I do, but if you here's my argument, it's 15 minutes a day on the New York Times homepage, you will be the smartest guy at the costume party, and you'll always have something to talk about. That's my argument. I'm not sure anybody buys it. Do you buy it? No, I'm not sure anybody's buying it.
With so many, well, the thing is I like that. I do like that. It's just so many people are they're as versed, the word. It's just if you mention anything about current events, it's why'd you mention that? Especially with the
It's a mood killer.
Especially with the recent the incident in the parking garage.
Yeah.
I couldn't talk about it with any of my friends because they were I knew immediately that's something they don't want to talk about, and I'm used to talking about it. It's just it depends on the person, but and it depends on what you're talking about in the news, but like it's situational, I would believe.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I mean, and the news does bring us tough subjects, but you know what? Living sometimes can be
Oh, yeah.
tough. And that
Yeah.
we're all, and talking about it, this is my argument, talking about it makes us all a community. It makes us all in the same boat, right? Is that I understand what you're going through, you understand what I'm going through, and we're able to support each other. But silence, you're kind of all on your own, right? Okay, I think we're in good shape. So, so let me go on to yet not another happy headline, I guess, but it's something that is a lot of folks are talking about, which is the war in Israel. Are you guys, so are our USM students aware of what's going on,
Yes.
and are
Yeah.
you talking about it?
we have a big at the foreign exchange student, we have a lot of students from everywhere. So of course we have a variety of opinions. I think there'll be two sides. Of course, on the sides should we help in the same way like we did with Ukraine and like Israel, and it's very complicated. It's much more complicated answer. And then there's of course all the and then people completely on the other side on the Palestine. And that's probably the biggest thing I hear all the time. And I hear a lot more voices towards Palestine. I hear a lot because I'm much more friends with. I have a lot of my friends are from Nepal and like the Middle East area, and so they side with more people. But then I see, of course, there's more my friends. I also have Christian friends who are probably on the side of Israel, and then are just the side of we shouldn't have these atrocities and stuff like that. So
Interesting.
I know very little about this subject, so I have chosen to not form an opinion.
Really, that's interesting.
I'm very acutely aware of the situation, but I need more information to come to a more solid conclusion.
Yeah. So, and I think probably a lot of folks are there, but it's interesting you mentioned that a lot of the students appear to be, quote, siding with Palestine, right?
Yeah.
So there's a headline in the New York Times this morning, actually. It said, Democrats splinter over Israel as the young, diverse left rages at Biden. So underlying this whole thing is that our young people in particular are not automatically supporting Israel because of the whole occupation issue on the West Bank and the Gaza Strip. So this, what used to be sort of an automatic reflex to support Israel and everything, a lot of our young people are going, Palestine has a point here. So what do you guys, are you hearing that at all?
Oh,
I
yeah.
see a lot more people supporting Palestine.
That's just fascinating.
I also see a lot more people supporting Palestine as well.
Yeah. Well, you already said that. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Well, so that is actually I want to pick up with that. We are going to take a break here, and we're going to pick up with the Israel war on the other side.
My simple solution to the problem was remove people from the scene and help them feel safer.
In response to attacks against Asian Americans, Maddie Park raised over $250,000 to donate cab rides to the Asian community.
There is so much more work to be done. We really need to come together and tackle this issue as a community.
Support the Asian community. Learn how at lovehasnolabels.com. Brought to you by Love Has No Labels and the Ad Council.
Hello, I'm Dr. Ed Simpson, Director of the School of Media and Communication at USM. Join me on Southern Miss Radio Friday afternoons at 12:30 for a new show, News You Need. On News You Need, USM students will discuss current events and why those events are important to them. Listen in on how the future citizens of the U.S. consider news and how those news events affect their lives. Join me for News You Need, Fridays at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio. Okay, we are back. And yeah, this Israel-Palestine thing has really begun to show fractures in what most people would consider a pretty solid block of liberal or progressive America, much of whom are in the younger side of things. So we were talking about this idea that I don't think anybody around this table supports what Hamas did, as far as attacking Israel. But it is possible to not support Hamas, but support the Palestinian people.
Yes.
Yeah.
I see a lot of on like it'll be like on Snapchat, people will like repost news articles and be like, it'll be like about like innocents being killed in the hospital in Palestine, or like it'll be like I don't support Biden on this, or attacking the fact that the White House had like the colors of Israel and being like, okay, you're choosing sides and all this.
Yeah, interesting. So talk to me about Biden real quick. Are you guys Bidenites?
To an extent.
To an extent, yes. I saw his recent few Instagram posts supported Israel, and a lot of people were mad about that.
Interesting. Is that enough for you to drop your support?
Well, it's more of like a lesser of two evils situation with like every election, so not sure.
Yeah, it'll come to. I think I'll figure out more when the candidates are like, because like we're such in a, because I don't think I mean, you can read in the news and everything about the political candidates, but we live in a Mississippi state where the vote is going to be generally red all the time.
Yeah.
Like my dad, he was like, yeah, I voted for Obama, but like, what's the one vote in my area for like the 1 out of like 5 votes for Obama going to do anything? And so like, because we live in such a red dominated state, and so like the political pressure, the vote for president has become just like, okay, I'll see the news and be invested in this, but like, and I'll maybe consider I hope I have some choice in the Republican candidate, but any hope for the other side being voted in Mississippi or in Louisiana, where I'm from, is just kind of like, I don't know. It's just kind of like the way it's set up. I don't feel like if I, like, it's always gonna. And my vote is gonna. It does matter, but like I don't think it'll change.
Yeah, interesting.
I also feel that my vote kind of doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things when it comes to being in a state where my vote isn't automatically supported, and that kind of makes it a frustrating experience and makes me not want to vote, but I still want to do it because it's a very good habit to keep in mind.
Well, there you go. So this is one of my things, right, is if you look at the numbers, 1 in 5 folks your age vote, which means 4 out of 5 don't. If you did vote, you know what the kind of government you get is Obama versus a Trump, right? Or even versus Biden, right? So this idea of voting is super powerful, something to think about, right? So, okay, well, we do have break soon. Okay, we're at the end, aren't we, Matthew? Okay, yeah, so we're gonna actually wrap it up here. So thank you very much to our guests. You guys have been amazing. There's nothing more fun in the whole world to do than to talk to our USM students and to listen to your thoughts on things. So my last thought for the day, I think, is that this world is yours to change, right? And you change it by voting. So I just would put that last thought in your head. So this has been a production of Southern Miss Student Media. Our producer is Lauren Johnson. She keeps us between the dishes. Thank you, Lauren. Our engineer today is Matthew Lee. Thank you, Matthew. And the station manager is Dr. Wilbur Martin. So we will see, or hear rather, everybody next week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This has been News You Need with Dr. Ed Simpson. News You Need airs Friday afternoon at 12:30 on Southern Miss Radio.